Welcome. I'm Tiffany, your guide to inner knowing and expansion through plant medicine. So what the fuck do I actually do? That's a whole big long intro, and maybe some of you don't actually know what I do because it can sound very vague if you're not in the world of expanding consciousness and altered states and mental health and all the things. So let's start with the basics. My name is Tiffany. I am a licensed mental health therapist in the state of Wisconsin, and I own my therapy practice as a solo provider. I've had my therapy practice since 2019, and I've been doing this for about a decade. I didn't start college until I was almost 30. It's never too late to do the things that you want to do. So that is the evolution. This is the evolution of what got me here. I have really been into psychedelics since I was a kid, 14 probably, and I knew then when I was struggling with depression that there were huge benefits to what I was taking with plant medicine. And while that was unstructured, just for fun, belly laughs, good time, I see the benefit from a clinical perspective. So I have been trained, Fluence, I think that's the name. I always get it wrong. I should know this better. To do ketamine-assisted psychotherapy in the state of Wisconsin. Do that virtually. It's the same as in person. And I want to say that we need to be able to hold space. I did a training and I liked how he put this. Hold space for the idea that there are multiple ways to engage with plant medicine and facilitators. So when it comes to the evolution of my own work and getting to this spot as a plant medicine facilitator, which I've been doing casually with my partner for about 4 years now, and then clinically and professionally in my therapy practice. I am not a shaman. I do not claim to be a healer. I do this from a personal use, from the clinical benefits and the research that has come from that. But we have to be able to hold space for the idea that there are shamans. There are places in Mexico where you can go and do the toad, right? And have somebody that guides that. In the training that I did recently, he was talking about, I think he's from Peru and has trained in Peru. If you ask them in Peru what trauma-informed care is, they would have no idea. That comes from a clinical perspective. But everything there is integration. Everything you're doing, I believe the same. Everything is integration. We have the pre-work, the journey, the integration, but it's all relevant. And so I just wanted to throw that out there about holding space for different perspectives, because we all come from very different backgrounds when we are psychedelic facilitators, when you're a shaman, when you're a healer. I have countless hours of clinical experience sitting with people that have trauma, that have mental health concerns, things that we're working on. Right now, I primarily work with relationships and how to help people in my therapy practice have the best relationship with themselves and with other people. And I work with relationships and couples in all of the different formats of that. I shouldn't call human experiences formats. Let me just look at my notes. And I do take notes because while I can get on free-flowing consciousness and just talking about the things, I do have ADHD. I'm diagnosed with ADHD. I am not medicated, which is a big joke. Like, I'm not medicated. I don't like the medications. And so I try to do my best with the systems. And one of those is notes. So I just want to make sure that I am circling back. So yes, licensed therapist, and I really work with relationships, emotional healing, and helping people actually face their shit, not bypassing. Spiritual bypassing is the idea that if we're in love and light and we're so enlightened, nothing negative is going to happen. That's not true. In the same way, emotional bypassing is if I I'm always positive and I sit in gratitude, there's going to be nothing that makes me feel anything but positive and gratitude. I sit with the idea of the duality of human experience, which I do not like putting labels on things, but for social construct's sake, we have to have a measure of where we're at. And that's where the duality comes in. You cannot know pure pleasure, joy, excitement without a little bit of pain, sadness, grief. And while some of the things are like it's mindset work, it really is. We have the option to decide how we feel and make that decision. We can't bypass that it's all the work, that it's all relevant, that we need to be able to sort through the patterns and the perceptions that we have about our lives to choose to do something different, to get to a place where we can make those choices of how we want to feel in the moment. Fun fact, I'm trying to make this 10 minutes or under for the YouTube video, but fun fact, I love the brain. I am not a neuroscientist. I am not specialized in the brain, but with my ADHD, it is my hyper focus. And as a therapist, I get basic training on that. So the patterns, the perceptions, how our brain impacts how we perceive the world, all part of this work. So in the evolution from Future Horizons Counseling, I did some coaching for a little while, and my partner and I founded Altered and Aware. It was originally Infinite Soul Retreats because we focus on retreats, but I've been trying to figure out, and we've been trying to figure out how to branch into different things and what makes sense to get people to the retreat process. And Altered and Aware, this is what this channel is, Altered and Aware. It's about exploring expanded states of consciousness and how to integrate that, into our daily lives. So what do I actually do? I create containers that are real, that are safe, and that are deeply held spaces for people to drop beneath the surface. This is through retreats, this is through prep work, the integration, and then I help navigate the moments where your inner world starts to shift and everything in your outer world starts to look different. That sounds very vague, but I think once you start journeying, you start to understand that is an abstract concept that starts to make sense. So I really guide people through the fear that arises through breakthroughs, the grief that surfaces when old versions of yourself start to die off, and the confusion when you don't quite fit into your old life. There is a grief process that takes place in this. Again, it's not all love, light, and beautiful things. It is what happens when the world I was living in no longer makes sense to me, because I've kind of evolved into this other person, but it's not another person. It's just the most aligned version of yourself. So I really do this work because I have lived a very disconnected life, feeling like I didn't fit in, it wasn't a horrible upbringing by any means, but it was definitely different than a lot of people's upbringings. And that's the stuff I've had to work through and sort through. And it's been my own evolution to be a therapist, to be a coach, to be a guide, a plant medicine facilitator. It all just makes sense that this is where I'm at in this moment as things are shifting. The consciousness is shifting, people wanting more. They don't just want surface level. They don't just want to perform. They genuinely want something different. So this isn't a place for shortcuts, hacks, or someone to tell you what to do. I'm here to guide you on what that looks like. Weave the stories together to maybe give you a little bit of a different perspective, but this space is always, always yours. So in a nutshell, that's what I do. If you have questions, write it in the comments, and go to the link in the YouTube channel, and I'll probably try to put it in the notes. I have a free Telegram channel. It's a 3-part series, but it's going to also be a space where I talk about the plant medicine that we actually do and what a retreat looks like, walking you through the process. So if you have questions about that and it's something that you're interested in, that is where we're going to do that. So I would love for you to join me in the Telegram channel, and have a good one.